Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are diving into something really special, a kind of ancient blueprint for cultivating inner clarity, drawn from a text called the Yogacara Bhumi Shastra. Now, this isn't just dusty old philosophy, it's an incredibly practical, step by step guide for building a more focused and, well, illuminated mind. So let's jump right in with the most fundamental question. First things first, we hear these words thrown around all the time, right? Enlightenment, illumination. But what are we actually talking about? What's the real, tangible goal of all this practice and meditation? Is it just some nice poetic metaphor, or is it something more? Well, the text gives us a surprisingly direct answer. The destination, the goal, is to cultivate what it calls the light of wisdom. And listen, this is not just a figure of speech. It's described as a genuine inner brilliance, a kind of luminosity that comes from deep understanding, and it has profound, real-world effects on how we experience our lives. So, what's the payoff? Why would you want to cultivate this inner light? Well, the text lists 5 pretty amazing benefits. First, it eliminates that inner darkness. That mental fog of confusion, anxiety, and doubt. It's said to actually nurture your physical well-being. It helps you see truths you were totally blind to before. It brings this deep sense of joy into your everyday life, and it sets you on a better course for the future. It's basically a total upgrade for your entire being.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The text draws a sharp contrast between this inner light of wisdom and any physical light, like, say, the sun. Physical light is great, but it's temporary. It rises and it sets, it can't shine through walls, and it can't help everyone everywhere at once. But the light of wisdom, its essence is pure understanding. It's always there, it's inexhaustible. It heals the root of our problems, our inner afflictions, not just the symptoms. And it can reveal truths that are completely hidden from our physical eyes. It's a permanent solution, not just a temporary patch. All right, that all sounds incredible, for sure. But the big question is, how do we actually do it? What's the first practical step you can take on this path of illumination? Thankfully, the text gives us a very clear starting point. The journey begins with a practice called shamatha. You can translate it as tranquility or calm abiding. The best analogy is this. You can't see the bottom of a lake when the surface is choppy and the water is all stirred up with mud, right? You have to let the water settle first. Shamatha is the practice of letting all the turbulence of our body, our speech, and our mind just settle down, creating that clear, stable foundation we need for wisdom to even have a chance to appear. And this isn't just some vague idea. It's broken down into 3 really concrete stages, and I love this. It moves from the outside in. We start with body tranquility, just calming physical restlessness, fidgeting, that kind of thing. From there, we move to speech tranquility, watching our words, quieting the idle gossip or harmful chatter. And finally, we get to the most subtle and challenging layer, mind tranquility, where we learn to settle the constant whirlwind of thoughts inside our own heads. Okay, so let's say we've started to practice this. We're starting to get glimpses of that inner quiet. It feels great, but it's also kind of fragile, isn't it? One stressful phone call, one bad email, and bam, it's gone. So the next logical question is, how do we protect this newfound calm? How do we build a fence around it? And the answer is, we build that fence by purifying our ethical discipline, which is called Shila. Really, this is all about our everyday conduct. Think about it. If our actions and our words are constantly creating drama and conflict in our lives, our minds will never get a chance to settle down. So good, solid ethical conduct becomes the container that holds and protects our inner peace. The text is super specific about what can poke holes in this ethical container. And it's not just about avoiding the big, obvious mistakes. It's also things like failing to acknowledge and learn from the smaller slip-ups, or even just being forgetful about our own actions, or being confused about what's actually helpful versus what's harmful. It all comes down to cultivating a really clear, honest self-awareness. So the path forward is really just the flip side of that. It's about building a proactive strategy for our own integrity. It's about developing the habit of acknowledging when we mess up and doing it quickly. It's about keeping a clear memory of our conduct and actively learning to tell the difference between skillful and unskillful actions. The goal here isn't about being perfect. It's about building a resilient, self-correcting practice. So we've got our general conduct handled, but the next layer of protection gets even more immediate, more up close and personal. It brings our awareness right to what's happening in our minds from one moment to the next. The text breaks down the ways our mindfulness can fail into 4 types, and I've got to say, these are so relatable.
First, there's lacking mindfulness. That's when we don't even know we're supposed to be paying attention. Then there's weak mindfulness. We know we should be mindful, but we just don't do it very often. There's lost mindfulness. That's the autopilot mode we all slip into. And finally, confused mindfulness. This is a tricky one where we might mistake an anxious thought loop for productive problem solving. Just recognizing these patterns is a huge first step.
This all leads to an incredibly powerful and simple guideline from the text. Rely on wisdom, not on consciousness. So what on earth does that mean? Well, consciousness here means that raw, unfiltered, reactive stream of thoughts, feelings, and impulses. The noisy inner chatter. Wisdom, on the other hand, is that clear, stable quality of seeing things just as they are, the quality we're trying to grow. The instruction is simple. Learn to trust that quiet, clear seeing over the chaotic noise of your ordinary mind.
So when you step back and look at the whole thing, you realize this isn't just a random collection of techniques. It's a complete, logical system, a blueprint. You start with a clear goal, that light of wisdom. You build the foundation with tranquility, calming your body, speech, and mind. And then you put up these layers of protection through your daily conduct and your moment-to-moment mindfulness. You see, each step perfectly supports the next.
This ancient blueprint gives us a clear path from inner chaos to a real, lasting sense of clarity. And the beautiful thing is how accessible it is. You can start anywhere. Maybe your first step is just noticing your posture right now. Maybe it's being a little more careful with your words today. Or maybe it's just noticing one single thought without judgment. The whole path begins with just one small, intentional step. So the only question left is, what will yours be?